Yo, welcome back everybody. This video is gonna be uploaded yesterday. It was supposed to be uploaded yesterday, but I ended up having some stuff to do, so we're gonna upload it today. Today is mainly just going to be a tape read of yesterday and today. I ended up taking two mock trades yesterday. I said on my TikTok I only took one. I took two. I ended up going hypothetically break even on one, and then my second trade I ended up winning. What should we call it? And today I didn't take no trade. I ended up taking today. Well, I ended up taking this morning to myself. Bro, can we fix this camera? Okay. I ended up taking this morning to myself mainly because like we had Powell speaking. I'm not gonna trade while Powell speaking, or we have FOMC, CPI news data. Literally in the moment of like back testing my strategy, see how I do. So far, I'm performing pretty well on CPI data. Um, but yeah, those are really like the only two things I don't really trade on. And today, well, yeah, today and yesterday, I told myself I'm taking the days off. Really gonna give myself a chance to recuperate, especially because Monday I had my best trade of my entire career again, like on top of May, and it was my best trade all of June. And so far in June, I've been killing it so far, which is really good. So I just decided to take the day off, take the 2 days off because it's just nice to not have the charts in the back of my mind while I'm doing like whatever my life is, and just knowing that when I come back to it, I'll be with a fresh mind and like literally like fresh everything. But with that being said, let's get on right into it and like let's tape read yesterday's price action and what we ended up doing and my two mock trades that I ended up taking. And for those people that don't believe, just in case, you never know. I assume all you guys believe me, but executions apply to all. You see me clicking. Oh, hold on. Saw me clicking, and then from there, boom. As you can see, last time I traded was on. Whoa, dog! I don't think my Wi-Fi. Don't tell me my Wi-Fi just crashed out on me. No. Wait a second. This works, so why isn't... We're gonna have to refresh this. Okay, this is gonna be kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna have to pause it right here. Alright, we're back. Welcome back. My Wi-Fi literally crashed out on me, but we're back again. Camera right. Yeah, yeah. Anyways, as you guys see, where was I? Executions. Executions are on. Literally, last time I traded was on Monday on Nasdaq. I haven't traded on S&P on Monday. Literally all of June has literally just been freaking ES, which is kind of crazy. Um, Anyways, yeah. Let's remove all this drawing because this was literally for my trade. And before I even like remove it, my bias was ended up like my bias was correct. I wasn't holding till previous day highs. That was kind of like insane. But what do I call it? My bias was correct because I'm pretty sure we had like some type of news that ended up pushing the impact of the Asia session, making the Asia session like super volatile, which ended up sweeping out previous day highs and then having this inverse gap, which is what I wanted, and we ended up getting that at 1, so that was pretty good. Anyways, I ended up winning that trade anyways, but I just wanted to, just in hindsight, that like, damn, my bias was correct, like, it was pretty good. Anyways, let's just take all this out. We don't really need this, we don't need this. Okay. So coming into yesterday, right? Because yesterday, well, we had Powell speaking today, and we had Powell speaking yesterday. So coming into yesterday, my bias for today, well, sorry, my bias for yesterday was honestly, it was bearish. Honestly, I lied. It was bullish and bearish. I was in a bit of a eh yesterday, mainly because I'll tell you the only reason why I was bearish, and I'll tell you the only reason why I was bullish. Excuse me. Bullish was because we ended up respecting this hourly PD array. Like we kept rejecting off of it, and price tried to disrespect it, but as you can see, we ended up not disrespecting it yet. Yeah, we closed below the 50%, but we ended up just grabbing some more liquidity from this order block, and then we ended up continuing higher. But I was bearish because we ended up breaking hourly structure, and we just continued to make lower highs. However, we did not respect any bearish PD arrays, so which is why looking back at it now in hindsight, which is why bullish was like the better term move. However, the trade that I won, the mock trade that I won was bearish, was a bearish trade, and the other mock trade that I went break even on was a bullish trade. So let's talk about the bullish trade first. Actually, no, let's talk about the bearish trade first because this one was quite interesting. I was honestly targeting this 4-hour unfilled gap. This was my main draw, to be honest. Also, my other main draw was London session lows, to be honest. But long term wise, I wanted this 4 hour gap to be filled before we continued higher, to be honest, just because if we look on the higher time frame of how big this gap is, this gap should honestly be filled, should honestly get filled, in my opinion. Obviously the market's going to do whatever it wants to do. We're filling in this 4 hour gap again, but in my opinion, I feel as though at least one of these gaps should be filled before we continue up higher to all-time highs, because that looks like exactly what we're doing right now. I mean, we're having a huge sell-off, but still, I feel like one of these gaps should get filled before we end up continuing higher. That's just my guess, honestly, my hypothetical reasoning on why we should continue higher. But anyways, with that being said, that is what I was targeting. So if we come into market open was a bit tricky because we ended up having we ended up having two SMTs being made. We ended up having this 5-minute SMT right here, and I'm pretty sure this was we ended up having higher time from SMTs. So these were the higher time from SMTs, and on top of that, we ended up creating another not higher time frame, but another 5-minute SMT on ES and on Nasdaq, which ended up leaving me to believe with my bullish bias. Coming into market open, we ended up having another SMT off rip. I literally ended up marking this out. Yeah, right here. We ended up having another SMT off market open rip, which ended up leading me to be bullish on Nasdaq. I was like, okay, let's try this on Nasdaq because I'm already seeing what I want to be seeing. But to be honest, this was like the first morning manipulation move, which is why I ended up getting break even on my trade. Obviously, it ended up playing out, but as you can see here, we ended up getting caught in the manipulation, but I ended up going hypothetical break even in my opinion. Excuse me. But one thing that I did not like about this with creating this SMT, we also swept out London session highs. So with that, I'm expecting like a reversal move. Like I'm expecting us to either continue pushing strongly to my other draws and liquidity on the higher time frame, or we're going to, have a little accumulation manipulation and then come down to, maybe wipe out London session lows or come down to grab some whatever liquidity is left from New York 9:30 open and then continue up higher. That's what I was thinking. So first trade on Nasdaq, boom, it was simple. We ended up having our change of the state SMT in place. Excuse me. Now, one thing that didn't follow this trade, we didn't have an inversion gap, but however, after the CIC, we ended up coming back and filling in this gap. That is where I hypothetically entered. My break even. My break even was literally these relatively equal highs right here. So as soon as we hit these relatively equal highs, we displaced pretty strongly on this candle. Obviously, we didn't close at that displacement, but we displaced pretty strongly after we swept out these highs. I hypothetically went break even because I was like, okay, I'm officially risk free. Now, I don't know what went on here. I genuinely want to think it's an SMT of some sort. Some SMT, because when I tell you, we just straight up just reversed out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere, obviously, there's a reason. But I couldn't pinpoint where the exact reason is. And now that we're literally tape reading, let's honestly find out together. So we have these equal highs right here. Okay, we ended up sweeping out those highs. Like I was genuinely not sure if we just rejected off this 5-minute gap and then continued on going because we just swept out London session highs, and I wasn't too sure about that. And honestly, I'm not sure why we reversed. Maybe there is a reason. Maybe I'm just not finding it, to be honest. But yeah. Anyways, hello. Okay. The thing is, I wouldn't even count any of these as SMTs because like we didn't create any lows. If anything, it just looks like we just rejected from this huge 5-minute gap before we came in and reversed it. So I'm just gonna go with that because I don't see any reason to have an SMT there. If we're going to be completely honest, I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. Excuse me, because we had a high, then we had a higher high. Yeah. So I'm just gonna say my conclusion is that we just rejected from this 5-minute PD array after sweeping on London session highs, which ended up getting me stopped out at break even. And I ended up looking at ES. Excuse me. Okay, I ended up looking at ES. Let's go over here. I ended up looking at ES because after disrespecting, not disrespecting, after respecting that 5-minute PD array. Excuse me. After respecting that 5-minute PD array, it was pretty, and we had that huge, not really like displacement, but we ended up coming out and inversing this 5-minute gap. I was honestly more inclined to look on ES because we were rejecting from something. Something had to be created in order. I think we just manipulated into an SMT. Honestly, I'm just a dummy for not finding that SMT somewhere. Excuse me. But point being is we ended up coming up high. Pause. But we ended up reversing. From there, I looked on ES to see, okay, what do we have here? Can we try another trade to London session lows? Yes, we did. What did we have? We had an inversion of a gap, this little tiny gap. But I wasn't really counting this as like my actual inversion gap. I mainly counted this whole thing as the inverse gap. Excuse me. I mainly counted this too, but I also counted this as my inversion gap. So we ended up inversing this with a strong displacement. On top of that, we ended up coming up, filling in this gap as well as our change in the state. Only thing different here, we did not have the SMT. So unless I'm just blind and there's SMT somewhere, which ended up causing this rejection lower. But to be completely honest with you guys, I genuinely cannot find it right now unless I'm just blind. But we ended up coming down lower, respecting all single PD arrays that I'm looking for except for the SMT. From there, boom, enter, stops above the fair value gap high, and literally just targeted London session lows, which was right here at this SMT low. At this also SMT low. Honestly, I don't think I would have taken any partials here. This would have been like a straightaway. In my mind, I went break even. In my mind, after we respected this tiny order block. It's really a doji candle, so I wouldn't really count that as an order block. But after we just came up and just continued on lower, I really just moved my stops to break even because we were just displacing really strongly, and it was pretty solid. And then a couple minutes later, ended up winning. And I was like, okay, so I went one break even and I won one trade. And to be honest, would I have taken these in real life, like in a real trade, like if we didn't have Powell speaking? This trade, the trade I went break even on, yes. The trade that I actually won, no. Only reason is because we didn't have that manipulation SMT. If we had the manipulation SMT, my entry model was A plus, and the higher time frame was A plus. If we had a 5-minute SMT, then we scrolled down to the 1 minute because that's again another 1 minute SMT, and then from there we had the inversion, CISD, gap get filled, bro, solid, like literally solid. And on top of that, we would have literally had freaking 39% fib tool disrespected, bro, solid. Only thing different, we ended up winning, but I didn't see any SMT. Went break even on this, like literally nothing won, nothing gained. We ended up having our CISD. But to be honest, we didn't have our inversion gap, so I mean both of these were just A setups. Like not A plus where everything checks the box. But I mean, hey, you win some, you lose some, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's pretty much the trade for literally yesterday. And what else happened during this price action? Ooh, excuse me. We'll see. From there, price ended up coming down, sweeping out London session lows. I'm pretty sure we also creating another SMT as well. So we ended up creating another SMT from market open to sweeping out London session lows. Again. And then from there, And then from there, we just rallied on up after inversing this gap. Ooh, excuse me. After inversing this gap, we just honestly rallied on up and having our change in the state, which was right here. And then from there, my long-term bias for this was really just Asia session highs, London session highs. I don't think that those previous day highs. I don't think those previous day highs, but this was Asia session highs, and we ended up hitting that from yesterday, so that was pretty good. I think war news also played into the part, which was also why we ended up like literally skybolting yesterday for a not for Monday, for a Tuesday, which was honestly kind of crazy. I didn't really expect us to do that. And long-term draws are honestly getting closer to the hit than expected. We have all-time highs right here, and then we have seconds to all-time highs, which is right here. Like a couple $100 like before that. But let's tape read today. Okay, we're back. My bad. I had to get a cut in, but we're back. Let's clear this. Let's clear all these drawings out. To be honest, you don't really need any of this. And you're probably asking, why aren't you clearing out? Why aren't you going to like just right click and clear out? Because I do not want to lose my targets. My targets are literally, bro. Hello? Okay, never mind. Maybe I don't have my targets here. Anyways, sorry. That was amazing. Okay. So let's just start over from today, right? Like, let's just start over from today. Like, what are we doing, right? Let's not even look at NASDAQ, right? Let's just look at ES. So, great. If we came into market open, what would I literally assume? I'm looking at the hourly, right? 8 a.m. 8 a.m. candle is literally about to close. Okay, 8 a.m. candle closed, right? Okay, what are we doing? Chat, hello? Okay, anyways, 8 a.m. candle closed. This is like on like 9:50 anyways. This is so bad. 8 a.m. candle closed, right? So, what is my bias going to be for today? First of all, I'm going to look at what the previous sessions have really done in order to really come to an agreement. So, let's look at London session, and let's look at Asia session. So, again, London session and Asia session. So I usually like to go on the 5-minute to really see what price really did, and it looks like we have just accumulated through the range. Let's see, London session. Let's see. Ended up coming into this bullish order block, and we continued up higher, which ended up causing the manipulation, which ended up causing this leftover gap. So, as soon as the 8 a.m. candle closes and 9 a.m. opens, what do I automatically see? I see that we are bullish. However, this is, I'm going to give you guys some sauce right here. However, we are overextended, right? Price did not hit equilibrium at all whatsoever. We have an unfilled gap. Now, if price hit equilibrium and we still have an unfilled gap, I'd be pretty skeptical on whether I'm bullish or bearish. I'd want to see what price wants to do. Literally, like, I want to know where it gives me a setup to the most prominent drawn liquidity. But to me, my drawn liquidity for today, if we had no news, nothing, like if we just have volatile markets without freaking Powell talking, I would be bearish, mainly because we have an hourly gap, right? I would want this. And on top of that, what else do we have? We ended up sweeping London session highs. We ended up sweeping Asia session highs. On top of that, we're overextended. So I would want a retrace downward before we continue up high. Now, it looks like that's something we're getting right now. Anyways, let's mark out our draws and liquidity. We have London session highs. We have these equal lows, dog. I don't know how we didn't get that. What the F? Pause. Don't know how we didn't get that. But anyways, we have Asia session lows. We also have London session lows right here. Excuse me. But most importantly, we have this hourly gap that I just want filled. Coming in the market open, let's just see what we got. On top of that, we already swept London session highs and Asia session highs. So keep that in mind. Why am I bearish? We swept out session highs, so I'm expecting a reversal down lower to fill in the gap, or to potentially inverse the gap and get us to our other draws liquidity, our other session lows. That is what I'm looking for. What is what I would be looking for? People, well, not even people, some people would see an unfilled gap and see that we're overextended and still want us to continue bullish, but you have to look at the higher time frame. What does price like to do? Price likes to target liquidity and fill liquidity orders. So says ICT. If you guys don't know what ICT is, go watch ICT. I promise you he's a legend. But anyways, that's the point. Excuse me. The point is, How are we going to fill liquidity? Where are we generating liquidity to? We're going to fill liquidity by coming into this order block, not order block, coming into this gap. On top of coming into this gap, we're going to fill more. We're going to come out and take out more sell side liquidity orders. So that is exactly what I'm looking for. So just remember, we swapped out London session highs right around here. We are still overextended. Market opens at 9:30. Just remember that. Market opens at 9:30. So I'm automatically bearish, by the way. I just want you to know. I just want you guys to know that I'm still very very bearish, like very very bearish no matter what. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, so let's just do our analysis as I always do when market opens. Literally, I wait. I don't do anything. I just wait to see what price wants to give me. Also look at pre-market. We ended up creating. Is that a 5-minute SMT? No, it's not 5-minute SMT. I'm tripping. No, we ended up not creating no 5-minute SMT anywhere to the upside. One thing to also keep in mind, I'm also looking at the higher time frame. Did we also create an SMT? That is one thing. A lot of people don't. I mean, some people don't really like pay attention to. I want to know if we created an SMT down. I mean, to the downside or to the upside. Whether or not we did, that honestly kind of leads me into one of my biases coming in today, especially if that SMT hasn't been fulfilled. So I don't see any SMTs. I'm just speedrunning this to be honest of tape reading. Usually I would literally just sit my butt down and just really analyze the markets. But for you guys, whoever honestly just sees it this far, I just want you to know, like, I don't know, this is like how I personally interpret the market because everyone reads the markets differently. Whoa. Okay. Coming into market open, what do we have? It looks like we created a 1-minute SMT. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, I'm tripping. My bad, folk. I'm tripping. I'm tripping. I'm tripping. Anyways, market opens. What happens? We ended up coming higher, manipulating higher, and then on top of that, we ended up having a gap. And from there, excuse me, we end up having our first 5-minute gap. And keep in mind, we're already close to filling in this. We're already close to filling in this gap. Not this gap. We're already close to filling in this hourly gap. So that's just something that also that's something else to also keep in mind, right? Because I literally said my draw on liquidity was this gap. Well, like a target was this gap on top of these lows that I have. So that's just also something to keep in mind. We're already close to filling in the gap. Ooh, excuse me. Price opens up from there. Price breaks 5-minute structure on this low right here. We ended up closing below this low. And what time is this? This is around 9 for the 9:45 candle. So right now the macro has started and it's 9:50. So with that in my mind, right now I'm just looking, and we have PD rate being respected because we ended up breaking structure. We ended up coming up 9:55. So what else do we have at 9:55? We have this excuse me. We ended up coming into this 5-minute gap. We ended up coming into this 5-minute gap. We ended up closing above it. And we ended up waking up strongly from it because we were rejecting from this excuse me, we were rejecting from this hourly gap on Nasdaq. That's also something to keep in mind. And on top of that, did we create an SMT? No, we did not. Let's see. And on top of that, we also created a 5-minute SMT, which ended up failing. As you can see, we ended up having low, then a lower low right here, and then a low, then a higher low right here. This SMT ended up failing. Why did it fail? We just wicked below it. Anything that I count as a wick below and a body close below, the SMT has automatically failed. So that's just also something to keep in mind. On top of that, let's just scroll down hypothetically. Let's say it's 10 a.m. open. 10 a.m. open. I'm literally looking for, now that we have our 5-minute PD rate respected, now it is time for us to, no, it's time for me to honestly just get down and dirty to see what we have. So on the 1-minute, let's just look. Do we have anything special? I usually want an SMT, a 1-minute SMT, to really just dictate everything. Excuse me, because that 1-minute SMT usually tells me like, yo, we're about to go down. We're about to do this, but as you can see, as 10 a.m. opened, we were just consolidating. Why? Because we had a live speech. So that's just something else to keep in mind, right? Obviously, I'm not trading. I didn't even open my PC during this live speech. I spent my ass in bed, bro. If we're gonna be honest, I ended up sleeping in because we ended up having a speech. I don't trade during speeches, and what's we call it? I don't. It's just not. This is not something that I do. So again, anyways, first thing I look for is a 1 minute SMT telling me what we're going to do. Do I have a 1 minute bearish SMT anywhere? No, I do not. Literally. But what else did what did we get? We ended up getting our change in state, our first change in state all the way down here. I don't want that because we're already at a discount. We got our change in state right here. What else did we have? We had an inversion of this first gap right here. So boom, next thing I'm looking for is literally a gap fill. We ended up having our gap fill right here, and I would want to target literally, I don't know, because we'd be deep in a discount already, but I'd still go for London session lows. But did that happen? No, we ended up getting, excuse me, we ended up getting wicked out, not even wicked out, we ended up coming out of this gap, and we ended up rejecting from this bullish gap, and then from there, we ended up coming out, and honestly, would have been stopped out or stopped out at break even. But like I said, I'm not taking a trade unless I see an SMT. So let's keep on looking. Do we have an SMT anywhere? Yes, we do. We have this high. We have a lower high. We have this high. Oh, my bad. We have this high, and we have a lower high. Not even lower high. These are equal highs, actually. So the thing is with equal highs, I only count them as an SMT if, and I mean if, I see displacement or I see an inversion of a gap. That's the only thing I'm counting as an SMT. If I see displacement and we didn't take the low and we didn't take the high or low on the other opposite index, and I see displacement from that on either side of the spectrum, that is an SMT in my opinion. So that's just something to keep in mind. You guys can use SMTs as you like, but this is an SMT because it's equal highs, and we ended up not taking this high on ES. So in theory, not even in theory, in reality, these are protected highs. So let's keep on going. So boom, check mark, SMT. We're going through my entry model. Other check mark. We're still rejecting off the 5-minute PD array. So this is beautiful. We're literally still rejecting off the 5-minute PD array. And what is it? A 5-minute SMT. 5-minute SMT, 5-minute PD array. Scroll down. This is literally like how I be acting like to myself. Anyways, next thing I'm looking for, a change in the state of direction, an inversion of a gap, and a gap fill. And from time to time, 79% Fibonacci tool disrespected heavily. Like, I want to see a clean displacement through that. What did we get? And now you guys may be asking, like, which one do I take? Do I take the SMT, which has the protected highs, which didn't take the high, or which did take the high? Honestly, I take whichever one gives me the best setup and the best ROI. So I'm literally looking at this side by side, and I'm literally just marking it out as I go. Whichever one gives me the best ROI, I take. So hopefully that helps you guys out for whatever you guys take. So just look at them side by side. Whichever one gives you the better setup, the more cleaner setup, you guys take that. Because remember, at the end of the day, they're moving side by side, but one of them will get you the better entry. Anyways, first thing, what did we have? Nice inversion off of that SMT. People can enter through here. Personally, I do not enter through here. Why? Because we still have another strong gap that we should displace through. We ended up displacing through that, and what else did we get? We had our nice change in state. Change in state of delivery. That is what I like. I like this. One more thing I'm adding. Not even one more thing I'm adding. One more thing I want to see. Not even one more thing. Two more things I want to see. The 79% Fibonacci tool get disrespected. Yes, it did. That is perfect by me. One last thing. I want to see a gap get filled from that CISD that was made. Yes. Boom. We got a gap fill, and we ended up poking it very, very sensitively, and then we continued on going. We continued on lower. Ooh, excuse me. Now on Nasdaq. Back to Nasdaq. Smoking on that gas pack. SMT at the lows, but I've also been seeing that the ones that didn't take the low is more volatile. So at the end of the day, just be more wary. Again, what did we have? We ended up having our change in the state of direction. Boom. What else did we have? We had our inversion gap. Boom. We also created a little BPR as well, but this BPR looks like it just wasn't tapped into, so that's just something to keep in mind. Boom. Remember, we tapped into the gap. This is still the hourly gap. We're rejecting off of it, but I'm still bearish because we have the 5-minute SMT and we're still rejecting off the 5-minute gap. So within the 5-minute gap, we've made the 1-minute SMT. We've made the 5-minute SMT. So this gives me even higher conviction in my trade that I'm like, okay, I want these lows. Again, remember, these are the highs. But remember, I want these lows. We're still on that. Ooh, excuse me. Anyways, gap gets ran through, gap gets made, boom. What else do we have? Gap gets made. So after CISD, we have an inversion gap, we have a change of the state, we have a disrespecting of the 79% Fibonacci tool. Hello? Want to get it right on the dot. Boom. 79% disrespecting of the Fibonacci tool, clean displacement, change of the state. We ended up tapping into the change of the state. We ended up tapping into the gap. We ended up tapping into the gap, and from there, boom, my entry would have been honestly somewhere here if we're going to be completely honest. Oh, excuse me. Usually we'd create another SMT from time to time. Give me one second, I'm trying to see. Did we create another SMT? Okay, I don't know why my 1105 candle didn't show up here. That was pretty odd. As you guys can see, like 1106 and 1104, we didn't have no 1105 candle. That's pretty odd. Anyways, so we ended up tapping into our changes of state, right? Literally, excuse me. Ooh, excuse me. Literally total soup. We ended up coming back to literally take out all these buy stops yet again. And then from there, what did we have after tapping into our change in state of delivery? Boom. Another sell-off. So, honestly, 2 hypothetical entries would have been at this first one. And my stop would have been, honestly, at the inverse. At the inverse high. And then from there, literally, this is crazy. But I'd honestly, only thing I'd probably target, just to be so realistic, would just be the end of this gap. But since we're tape reading, if we hypothetically targeted, okay, not these, wow, we are dumping heavily, not these lows, but London session lows, right? Boom, this would have been a 5-hour trade, 5.6, well, 5.7, wow, wow. I don't know what just happened. Did we just put in an SMT? We might have just done something, because I don't know why we just freaking destroyed all session lows. That's kind of crazy, man. That's kind of crazy. Bro, PM session be getting crazy, bro. I swear. Anyways, though, back to our regularly scheduled program. This is gonna be a long video, but whoever watches it, bro, I really appreciate you guys for just even watching me just yap about this stuff, bro. I don't know. I feel like after I learned about this, it's like, I don't know. It's so crazy just to like see like another person's entry model, another person's entry model, and then literally just use it and like combine of what they use, and then just make it into like my own type of stuff. You know what I mean? Anyways, we came into the gap, we came into the CISD. From there, stop is above this inverse because we should not come above this gap, or if we do, we should not. We should fill in the BPR, like worst case scenario, and then see a rejection lower. Honestly, we should not. Whatchamacallit? Excuse me. Ooh. Ooh. Excuse me. Anyways, if we are truly bearish, we should just come up, tap these, and then from there, sensitively, as you guys can see, we closed literally within like the first quadrant of the gap, so still respecting it. And then from there, we literally just fall down, literally like a falling knife, and then we ended up coming back to these highs, and then from there coming and taking these lows, and then from there we just took out these Asia session lows as well. So I mean, at the end of the day, this really would have been like the actual like bias, not bias, the actual like would have been like the actual bias. Like I would have been bearish for the day. But by the time this SMT happened, it was already 10:47. But to be honest, my time is usually booked till like 11. Like I'm only trading till like 11 to be honest. So this could have been something I could have caught. Not today, obviously, because I don't trade speeches. That's just a big no-no. And Powell was speaking for an hour, so that's even worse, dog. Um, but yeah, this trade was definitely beautiful to run it down again. 5 minute PD rate, created an SMT instead of that 5 minute PD rate towards my bias, and it's a higher time frame PD, and it's a higher time frame SMT. On top of that, I'm straight. You know me, I'm straight. Like I'm already happy that we have this. On top of that, what did we have? We had a 1 minute change in the state of direction. On top of that SMT, we had a 1 minute inversion gap. We had a 1 minute gap fill. Ooh, excuse me. What else did we even do? Honestly, no, we did not tap into the breaker block. I thought we tapped into the breaker block. That would have been kind of crazy because this whole thing is a breaker block now. But if we tapped into the breaker block, that would have been even more conviction. But yeah, this was definitely would have been the trade for this was honestly hypothetically the trade because this followed all one of my rules. 5 minute PD array, high time from SMT plus a low time from SMT, change of the state, inverse gap. It's like bread and butter. And as you guys can see, played out so well for my draws and liquidity because like I said, I was bearish coming into today because we had that unfilled gap. And from there, we honestly the London session lows was just like an extra clipper, like an extra target. To be honest, my main target was really just this high time frame gap. But as you guys can see, wow, we broke our early structure. We're striking down lower. Anyways, as you guys can see, that was pretty much it. Like I hope you guys enjoyed this tape reading session. I really enjoy doing this, just like blabbing out what I'm reading, how I'm reading it, how I'm interpreting it. And as you guys can see again, if we look at both prices, like both indexes, Nasdaq gave the better entry, right? This was so much cleaner. Yeah, we were in drawdown for a little bit, but that was only to tap the CISD and come into the gap again. And then from there, we just ended up falling again. We just came to grab more orders because we just had the little tiny gap. I mean, little tiny tap into that was pretty sensitive, and then we came in, filled in more orders, and as you guys can see, we literally filled in 90% of the gap, so that was even better. And then from there, we just continued to free fall. So as you guys can see, both entries were presented. Nasdaq had the better entry, and let's compare the risk to reward. Let's see, say we enter from here, like first gap fill, stop, honestly, above the high, and then honestly, boom, again. If we even targeted just the gap fill, this would have been a 1.7. I only go for 2R trades minimum, 2R trade minimum. That's just me. So even if we took it to London session lows, this would have been a 4.8 compared to a 5.79. So at the end of the day, you got to look at risk to reward, and you also got to look at which entry is best presented to you. But I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. This video was really nice. We ended up coming into the breaker block as well. We ended up filling the breaker block pretty perfectly. That's really crazy. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really love yapping my thoughts to you guys. This was pretty nice. I don't know. Today was a pretty clear day. I'm just gonna keep these up. Tomorrow I'm gonna be back in action. We have core price index. We also have consumer sentiment. We'll see what price wants to do coming in the pre-market. I might just wait till 10 to wait till the news comes out unless I see a really good stuff that has everything that I want, like I just saw today. Patience is just key. And oh no, that's on Friday. Tomorrow we have unemployment claims, home sales, pending home sales, final GDPQ, and core durable goods. So this should be interesting to see how price wants to react after having these two speeches. Again, I'm going to trade this week pretty cautiously because we also have a freaking war going on at the other side of our freaking of our globe. So that's just going to be something weird. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. I'm gonna upload a couple TikToks. I really enjoyed making these. Love you guys. Stay solid. Keep winning. Stay patient. Stick to your rules. Journal, bro. Journal. Literally, ever since I've been journaling and rereading all over my stuff, I've been getting so much better. But yeah, I've been just seeing so much consistency. Anyways, I love you guys so much. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. I'm out. Peace.